If you recall, back in May, I made a video about PlayStation Plus and how there was a major issue with the instant game collection, being that every single month, tens of thousands of gamers just were not happy with the titles being offered. But honestly, in the past 4 months or so, it seems like they're actually going in the right direction. But October's games, as good as it seems, I think actually highlights the real sweet spot that PlayStation Plus needs to be. And so that's what we're going to be really discussing in this video, because if you remember in the May one, the big topic there was that it's not necessarily a hive mind anymore. It's not really anecdotal evidence. We were looking at the like to dislike ratio on YouTube videos regarding PS Plus, either from Sony's official channel or the PlayStation Granade channel, which it's weird. Sometimes Sony doesn't do the PS Plus video every single month. They've been kind of like on and off with that, but the PlayStation Grenade channel, they'll upload a PS Plus video every single month, and that's a high volume, high traffic video that gets anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million views. So it's really good data, actually, when you see that you've got 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people disliking the PS Plus offerings. We can say it's not a hive mind. People just genuinely don't like these games, but it's funny. Since the May video, every single month has been pretty good, and most people seem to be pretty enthused by it. So let's actually run through the games since then, and I'll show you the like to dislike ratio either from Sony's official video or from PlayStation Grenade. So in June, we had Borderlands: The Handsome Collection and Sonic Mania. That was a solid month. I think everyone was really in tune with that one. But July was a big divisive one for a few reasons. So we had Horizon Chase Turbo, a smaller scale game. That's kind of the game where if it was thrown in with another small scale game, people would be pretty upset. But it was initially revealed with Pro Evolution Soccer 2019, which saw a pretty heavy amount of backlash. Now, Sony changed it a few days later to Detroit Become Human, and that's very important that it was a first-party game. Well, technically second-party, they never owned Quantic Dream, but it's a Sony-owned IP. They can do whatever they want with Detroit Become Human. That's why they let it go to PC. That's, it's their IP, and that's important. We have to understand how Sony operates with PlayStation Plus, being that they approach third-party developers and publishers, and it's often a lump sum of cash that they offer to them, and obviously it's a contract, it's a deal that has to be put in place. But when it's a first-party title, Sony can, do whatever they want with those games. So that's why it's very important that this was very much so a last-minute decision, and it's even more built up to the fact that Konami confirmed this is not their doing. So when that whole semi-little mini controversy went down, Konami followed up by saying that they didn't have any idea what was going on, talked to Sony. In fact, they were being reported as some employees showing up to the Konami offices and finding out right then and there as they logged onto the computers, oh, hey, look, Sony changed out the game. It's not going to be Pro Evolution anymore. Either way, Detroit was put in. Obviously a game that is a perfect fit, I think, for PlayStation Plus. Not only is it a bigger AAA title, it's a game that's not as high caliber as some of Sony's other exclusives. This game didn't move 10 million units. It moved a few million units, which means there's still a lot of consumers out there that have not played Detroit. Sony's statement regarding this was, "We have decided to make a change to the PS Plus games lineup this month, and we will be offering Detroit Become Human Digital Deluxe Edition instead of PES 2019. This was a decision we decided to make as a company, and we apologize for any inconvenience." The only problem with that statement is that it's very PR, very vague, so we can't necessarily say that it's because of the backlash and Sony was instilling goodwill to the consumer. I would love to think that's what happened, and I actually quite honestly think that is what happened, but I like more transparency when it comes to these things. I like when a company, instead of giving these PR answers, just says, look, we heard your feedback. This is our ploy to make it better to you. This is us trying to do better. We understand that the instant game collection means a lot to our fans, and that, at least say something to that effect, right? Answers like these are so vague and really annoying, and it really doesn't tell us much of anything. So it's still left up to interpretation, but I still think that this really was a genuine case of them doing something last minute to please the fans, because that's really the only reasonable thing I would imagine right now. August was Sniper Elite 4 and Wipeout the Omega Collection. Again, another Sony IP that didn't move 5 million units, but it's the perfect example, I think, of a game that could be offered on PS Plus. September, we had Batman Arkham Knight and Darksiders 3. Very solid games. I think that was another fantastic month as well. And then we get to October, which, is current today. We've got The Last of Us Remastered and MLB The Show 19. Now, The Last of Us Remastered, great game, fantastic game, world revered and loved beyond millions of gamers. You know what I mean? Like, it's a big title for sure. And the same with MLB. But I think October really highlights a problem that we've been seeing with PlayStation Plus on both spectrums. If the games are smaller scale and sometimes considered okay or good, they could be even great indie games, but or smaller scale titles that are published. Really doesn't matter. The smaller scale stuff obviously annoys a lot of people, but if you go too far into the spectrum of it being a title that has sold 10 million plus copies, which is The Last of Us Remastered, or a highly specialized, albeit it's popular, but a highly specialized game like MLB The Show, I think that's where we're seeing where the real middle ground lays in terms of what makes people happy with PlayStation Plus. Now, this month does present great value. I think nobody's really ever disputing the value proposition of it. When you're only spending $50, $60 of PlayStation Plus, we discussed this before, but over a year, if you download a few games, buy a few things on sale, I mean, you're going to make your $50, $60 back. I don't really think we need to make a case for the value proposition being there. It doesn't take just 1 month. It can take the whole year, but either way, at $50, $60, you're going to make your money back. The problem with these two games is one's just too highly sold. There's going to be a very few amount of people that haven't quite yet experienced the game, and that's fine, but you're leaving out so many people that have already knocked out one game in the lineup, right? That's the problem, is that we've only got 2 titles, so when one drops, there's only a 50% chance that the other game might be of interest to the consumer. Now, what's the problem with MLB? Well, it's the same problem with Pro Evolution Soccer. It's a sports title. Now, people get so mad at me when I sometimes discuss sport titles either not being valuable or people not being very happy with them as an instant game collection game, but it's just inherently an issue with the titles themselves. Yearly released franchise sports games have such a dedicated following that typically the bulk of their sales, the bulk of their engagement is within the first few months that they're released. And if you look at MLB The Show 19, the game comes out in March every single year. So we're actually at a point where the next MLB is closer than The Show 19. You know what I mean? So it just seems kind of like a half-hearted attempt. Even though MLB The Show is like $30 right now, brand new, it's the most irrelevant time to offer the game. And then there's the fact that you're offering this game worldwide, and people in Europe are not into baseball. That's a big one. Yeah, Sony's got a huge consumer base in Europe. In fact, Europe loves PlayStation. If you look at the current market right now, I mean, in terms of against Xbox One, I guess what you'd consider one of their closest competitors. I mean, Sony's got like a 70% plus lead in most territories, in most countries, in all of Europe. And so that's kind of a huge swing and a miss. It's a game that doesn't do well worldwide. It's closer to the next title more than anything else. And most people that want this game have probably already bought it months ago. So MLB, a big problem. Not just MLB, but same with Pro Evolution Soccer. Now, some people, obviously came out of the woodwork when Detroit came in. They were like, oh, but I want Pro Evolution Soccer. You're not going to make everybody happy. But it's, I guess, a scenario where what will please the most people and not upset as many people. And Detroit is going to win that all day, every day. Sorry. And so you just can't offer sports games on Plus anymore. You just can't. If you're going to, you got to throw in a third game, I think. Which goes back to our previous discussion video. I thought it'd be a great idea to explore the service in a number of different fashions, like the Welcome Back program in 2011 when PSN got hacked. Why don't you offer 3 or 4 games, but still just let the user pick 2? I know that complicates matters much more for Sony, and I'm not saying it's a be-all, end-all solution, but there are certain ways that Sony can explore the service to please more people. You're not giving out 5 games, you're letting people pick 2, but you're giving them an option for scenarios just like this where it doesn't make everybody happy. But not to completely down Sony or October's games, they really have been doing much better. It's great, and October only highlights, I think, the good middle ground that Sony should explore a little bit more, which is the third-party stuff, bigger budget third-party stuff that obviously isn't, brand new $60 titles. I think we're all in agreement that just doesn't work for Sony. We understand that's not going to happen. But a title that's a little bit past its, not prime for lack of a better word, but a title that's been out, it's lived on the market a little bit, seen its sales, the bulk of its sales, maybe has had a lot of, DLC come out. Maybe Sony can instead offer a Game of the Year edition for some of these titles, or the digital deluxe version like they did with Detroit. But that's like a good middle ground where, release a big budget game that has already gone through its launch cycle, and it's a third-party title that, stuff like Darksiders, Batman, or even the first-party stuff that's not nearly as highly sold like the Wipeout Omega Collection or Detroit, I think is the real sweet spot that Sony finds themselves in right now, where I think it's going to please the most people without upsetting the most either. You know what I mean? That seems to be the good short term right now, because remember, long term, you would have to imagine that PlayStation Plus will be available on PlayStation 5 immediately, and it won't be big budget games on PS5. It'll probably be some smaller stuff, but that'll be a platform where technically we will now have, and you would hope, if all goes according to plan, it'll just get 2 games like PS4 gets. But now you've got a platform that gets 4 PlayStation Plus games, because inherently PS5 can be backwards compatible with PS4. And that's a unique scenario, because on Vita, PS3, and 4, you have to have all 3 platforms and actively play all 3 to get all 6 games. And let's be honest, not many people really fell into that category. You were probably playing 1 or 2 of them and got 4 games out of it at the most. Sometimes it wasn't even really 6 because of cross-buy initiatives, meaning that when you get 1 game, you're getting it on both platforms. But I do think it's a lot better. I even sent out a poll on Twitter, and I asked you all as well, what do you think about the recent PS Plus offerings? And the majority of you said, yes, I do think it is getting better. And a lot of you, I love how fair a lot of you guys are. You're very objective. Even if the titles weren't necessarily for you, you understand that they're much better titles than what was previously offered, and you feel as though Sony is making a solid effort to do a little bit better. Sage Mode Louise says, definitely looks like they're going in the right direction. Let's see if they can keep this up for a couple of more months. Voss's Nut says they have definitely been way better with the games. Batman Arkham Knight, Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, Sniper Elite 4, and even Darksiders 3. Pretty fucking good for the free games, I say. However, you all see the same glaring issues that I do, and a lot of you are very cautiously optimistic, with Brian saying, decent so far, but I feel like it can go back to what it was any month now. Call me cynical. DLJ_UK, I'll agree they're going in the right direction when they stop giving us A, yearly sports games right before the next one releases, and B, games that are so old that the majority of the users own it anyway. Lorenzo Jr. 1215, hell yeah, even though I have most of the recent games. Tashigi Smith, I think we are just getting lucky. As soon as PS5 comes out, we will start getting indies again. Andrew, there's many games that have impressed me, but most I either don't personally want or I already own. Definitely the right direction though. Extreme Jack, I'm all for The Last of Us, but really could care less about a sports title. DOA Hitman, literally this month coming up, I own both games for PS Plus. I pre-ordered MLB The Show back when pre-order was available, and had Last of Us Remastered since like early 2018. They seriously need a third game option to make it worth my time anymore. Interestingly, if you go over to Push Square, they have a poll as well about PlayStation Plus with a lot more votes, and that one's super skewed, really a lot of different answers all across the board there, and so you can see the track record is still here. It seems okay now, but this is the damage that Sony has done for years with PlayStation Plus. It's just not looking good, and it's going to take a lot more than 4 or 5 months of good games. It's going to take a lot more, and I hope as we go into late 2019, as we go into early 2020, and even into a brand new generation with PlayStation 5 or whatever Sony decides to call it, that the momentum stays there and people actually see some real value in having Plus. And shout out to the top comment of this video with the most upvotes, because I already know what it's going to be. Something along the lines of, hey, why don't you remove the Plus requirement so I don't have to have it anymore to play online? As if that's ever going to happen. I mean, no. I don't even work there. I'm not even a shareholder, but we all know that's not going to happen. But anyway, I think that's it for this discussion video, so thank you so much for watching, and follow on Twitter at Mystic Ryan for situations just like this to keep the conversation going. Polls, question and answers, and tweet at me. Tell me what you think about PlayStation Plus as well, or send me pictures of your cat, because you're going to be getting pictures of mine. And if you haven't yet, of course, please subscribe for the best PlayStation news, reviews, and updates that are here on YouTube. And now I have to mention to hit the notification bell so you stay up to date with all the latest PlayStation stuff. That's it though. I will see you all in my next video, and you take it easy.